I haven't seen this kind of creature. Get out! Get out!
What kind of creature is this? She's cursed. Chase her out!
Even my own father couldn't recognize me. He chased me out.
The night was long. Too long. I hid under an abandoned wooden shed near the roadside, trembling in fear and pain. My strange body ached with every movement. My legs felt weak, and my head spun from hunger and confusion. I looked down at myself again. My upper body was still human, but my lower body was covered with brown fur like a dog. My feet had turned into paws, and my senses had become frighteningly sharp. I could hear every insect crawling in the grass, every distant voice, every moving car on the road. But none of that mattered. All I wanted was my father. Tears rolled down my cheeks. "Papa," I tried to whisper, but the only sound that escaped my mouth was a weak, broken bark. The sky slowly turned grey as morning approached. Soon, my father would return. Despite my fear, my heart pushed me to stand. I had to go back home. Even if nobody believed me, even if they chased me away, I had to see him. Slowly, painfully, I began walking toward our compound. The early morning air was cool, and the village was just waking up. Women were already sweeping their compounds, and men were preparing to go to the farm. But the moment people saw me, they froze. What kind of creature is that? Jesus Christ! Some ran away immediately. Others picked up sticks and stones. Fear pushed me forward as I limped toward the only place that once felt safe, my father's house. When I finally reached the compound gate, it was still closed. My heart beat loudly. I sat quietly outside the gate, waiting. Not long after, the sound of a car engine echoed down the dusty road. My heart jumped. It was my father's car. The familiar black car slowly stopped in front of the compound. My father stepped out, looking tired from his long trip. The moment I saw him, my eyes filled with tears. I tried to run toward him, but before I could move, he suddenly stopped. His face twisted in confusion and fear. "What is that?" he said loudly. My heart broke. He didn't recognize me. He stared at me carefully as I stood there, shaking. My father frowned. What kind of creature is this? The compound gate opened behind him. Madame Beatrice stepped out slowly. Her eyes landed on me immediately. For a brief moment, our eyes met, and a small, satisfied smile appeared on her lips. She knew exactly who I was, but she pretended to be shocked. She covered her mouth dramatically. "Ah, Jesus!" she shouted. "What is that horrible thing?" My father stepped back nervously. "I don't know. It looks like half human, half dog." The words pierced my heart like a knife. Half human, half dog. My own father was looking directly at me, but he could not see his daughter. I tried to move closer to him, hoping somehow he would feel something, remember something. But before I could take another step, he quickly grabbed a long stick from the corner of the compound. "Stay back," he shouted. Fear froze my body. Madame Beatrice stood behind him, pretending to be frightened, but the smile hiding in the corner of her lips betrayed her. "Chase it away," she said quickly. "What if it's a bad spirit?" My father raised the stick higher. "Get out of here," he shouted. Then he swung the stick toward me. The blow landed painfully on my side. I cried out loudly and fell to the ground. But the sound that came out of my mouth was not a human cry. It was a painful, broken bark. My father's face showed no recognition, only fear. "Leave this compound," he shouted again. More tears rolled down my face as I slowly stood up. My heart was breaking into pieces. The one person who should recognize me, the one person who loved me the most, was now chasing me away like an animal. And behind him, Madame Beatrice was smiling quietly. Her evil plan had worked perfectly. She had taken everything: my home, my identity, my father. As I slowly turned and walked away from the compound, my chest felt heavy with pain. But something deep inside my heart refused to die. One day, my father would discover the truth. And when that day finally came, Madame Beatrice would regret the evil she had done. Because some secrets never stay hidden forever. That same morning, after chasing the strange creature away from the compound, Adaize's father stood quietly in the yard. Something inside him felt uneasy. He dropped the stick he had used and wiped sweat from his forehead. "Where is Adaize?" he suddenly asked. Madame Beatrice, who had been adjusting her wrapper calmly, froze for a brief second. But she quickly forced a smile. "Adaize?" she repeated casually. "Yes," he said, looking around the compound. "I didn't see her when I arrived." Madame Beatrice avoided his eyes. She went out." "Went out where?" he asked. "I don't know. Maybe to visit her friends." Her voice sounded careless, but something about the answer did not sit well with him. His daughter never left the house early in the morning without greeting him first, especially when he had just returned from a long trip. He frowned slightly. "She didn't call me yesterday," he said slowly. Madame Beatrice shrugged. "You know how young women are. Maybe she is angry about something." The man looked at her carefully. "Angry about what?" Madame Beatrice waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, small misunderstandings, nothing serious." But she refused to look directly at him. A strange silence filled the compound. Deep inside his heart, Adaize's father felt a small seed of worry begin to grow. He walked into the house and checked her room. The bed was empty. Her clothes were still inside the wardrobe. Even her slippers were beside the bed. His frown deepened. Something was not right. Outside the compound, villagers were already gathering near the road, discussing the strange creature they had seen earlier that morning. "That thing looked terrifying," one man said. "I swear it looked half human," another replied. Women carrying baskets on their heads whispered nervously. But as Madame Beatrice walked past them toward the market, the whispers slowly changed direction. Two elderly women stood near the well. One leaned closer to the other. "Have you noticed something?" she asked quietly. "What?" "That girl, Adaize. I haven't seen her for 2 days." The other woman nodded slowly. "I noticed too." Their eyes followed Madame Beatrice as she walked proudly down the road. Another woman joined the conversation. "I heard they were always fighting in that house." One of them lowered her voice even further. "Some people say she chased her out." The other woman looked shocked. "Chased her out? For what?" "Who knows? You know how stepmothers can be." But another villager shook her head slowly. "I pray nothing worse has happened." The women exchanged worried looks. "What do you mean?" She leaned closer and whispered, "In this country, some people even sell children for money." The words sent a cold silence through the group. Meanwhile, Madame Beatrice continued walking toward the market. Her face looked calm and confident, but she could feel the villagers staring at her. She could hear the faint whispers following her footsteps. For a moment, irritation flashed across her face, but she quickly forced herself to remain calm. Let them talk. None of them knew the truth. Back at the compound, Adaize's father was still standing in her empty room. His heart felt heavy. Something was wrong. He could feel it. He walked slowly back outside and called for his wife again. "Beatrice." She returned from the gate. "Yes?" He looked directly at her this time. "Tell me the truth." Her heart skipped for a second. "What truth?" "Tell me, where is my daughter?" For a moment, Madame Beatrice's smile disappeared, but she quickly recovered. "I told you already. She went out." But her answer did not remove the growing fear inside his chest. Because the more he thought about it, the more that strange creature he had chased away that morning kept appearing in his mind. The way it looked at him, the tears in its eyes, and the strange feeling he had when their eyes met. He shook his head, trying to push the thought away. It was impossible. Adaize was his daughter, and that creature could never be her. But somewhere far from the compound, hidden behind a broken fence at the edge of the village, Adaize lay weak on the ground, half woman, half dog, her heart shattered, because the one person who could save her had already chased her away. And not far away, a pair of old eyes were quietly watching her from the shadows, eyes that seemed to understand the terrible curse placed on her.